Bill was clearly the driving force. He came to me when we put the first increment of funding into this and said, you know, why it was important, why it was crucial to Battelle and the Pacific Northwest Lab and the future of this community. And I believed Bill Wiley, and we added the money and actually accelerated it at the request of Admiral Watkins when he was Secretary of Energy. So I think this is a tremendous facility, and I'm thrilled that it's named after Bill Wiley. I only wish he was here for the dedication. We miss him.
Good morning. I'm John Wagoner, the manager of Richland Operations, and this is a very proud morning for me, as I'm sure it is for the majority of the people in this crowd today, and we've got a really nice crowd. This is one of those fantastic opportunities that doesn't come very often. It's one I was reminded that, thinking about this morning, that when I set foot on this site about 6 years ago and met Bill Wiley, the first thing that he started telling me about was this great laboratory we were going to have. And I'd come out here thinking about the Hanford cleanup, and he wanted to make sure that I understood that this institution of the National Laboratory was a very major part of Hanford, and that this laboratory was going to be a very major contribution to achieving that Hanford cleanup. And he was right. I've been convinced by many people since then. We're really pleased this morning to have with us such distinguished guests as the Secretary of Energy, Secretary O'Leary. We'll hear from the Secretary today, but also our congressional delegation, Senator Murray, Congressman Hastings, Congressman Dix, and we also have from DOE headquarters our Assistant Secretary for Environmental Management, Al Alm, Dr. Martha Krebs, who is especially proud today as this is her institution also. And of course, having Gus Wiley, Mrs. Wiley here today with us is especially important. We also have representatives of, I know, at least 2 of our important Indian nations, the Yakima Indian Nation, the Wanapum people are represented this morning, and if there are representatives from the Nez Perce or the Umatilla tribes, welcome also, because I think that we've had a lot of support from our affected Hanford tribes and the importance of EMSL, because it's their value also that we achieve a very high quality cleanup here at Hanford, and this laboratory is going to contribute to that. So we have so many friends of Hanford here today, those in the community, but also we really think we have 2 communities here. We have a scientific community that is so important to the future of the Department of Energy and to the Tri-Cities. This is an impressive show of support for a laboratory that I'm sure many people outside of this group still wonder about. Part of what I think we have to do today is to begin to show them what it is, what it means to have an environmental molecular sciences laboratory, and what it's going to do for us here at Hanford and nationally. The research that we do here not only will contribute to cleanup, but we think it will have major benefits in the fields of energy, development of new materials which are important to our economy, health, medicine, agriculture, transportation. It affects potentially the quality of lives of millions of our American people. Now I would like to introduce the man who will have the honor of presiding over the startup of this facility, and now he really gets into the tough work, the Director of the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, Dr. Bill Madia.
They needed that step for me. Thank you, John. Madam Secretary, members of the delegation, Gus Wiley, Johari, members of the Wiley family, Martha Krebs, Al Alm, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory, America's most scientifically relevant and productive national laboratory. Today we're writing the first few pages of a new chapter of this great institution. Today we're dedicating the world's premier environmental molecular sciences laboratory in honor of Bill Wiley. Today we're dedicating the Department of Energy's first major user facility ever in the Pacific Northwest, thanks to the people behind us. The scientists who work in this facility will take their talents and apply them to a broad array of national and societal problems, helping understand how exposure to radiation and chemicals actually cause cancer, to use the equipment and facilities in this great laboratory to begin to unravel that serious set of problems. That's what the scientists at EMSL will begin to do. And when you think about how energy and environment are inextricably linked, scientists and EMSL will work together to help reduce this very unhealthy dependence we have on foreign oil by examining the consequences and impacts of global change and understanding better the combustion process that we use in burning fossil fuel around the world. EMSL and its scientists will also work in agriculture and food production through biotechnology and remote sensing to improve that part of our economy. And even EMSL and its scientists will help us in the national security area, where their development of ultra-sensitive detectors will help us determine whether this country's enemies are actually producing the chemical, nuclear, and biological weapons of mass destruction that we fear. That was Bill Wiley's vision of EMSL. I've had a strange feeling all week that he's here watching us, and he's proud. Our commitment is to fulfill that destiny. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce a person who has been one of this nation's staunchest supporters of science. She has fought the cause for U.S. scientific excellence for 3 years now. She's provided unwavering support, including budget, for the Environmental Molecular Sciences Laboratory. Please allow me to introduce the Department of Energy's Director of the Office of Energy Research, Dr. Martha Krebs.
Good morning. I am truly thrilled to be here with you today. And I, in particular, am pleased to be here to not only dedicate this terrific scientific facility, but to honor a man who has so touched my life and to witness the culmination of his vision and his legacy here at PNNL. And this is a contribution that's not just important for the lab or for the DOE programs or even for this country, but perhaps more broadly around the world. As the recent issue of Nature magazine pointed out, the environmental challenges we face here at Hanford are similar to those currently faced in tens of thousands of Superfund sites across the US and in nuclear facilities of the former Soviet Union. The time has come to repair the damage of the Cold War. As we now look to the future and learn our lessons from the past, we have to increasingly consider the impact of what we do on the next generation. But Bill Wiley was there in considering these issues way before most of us. As a visionary, he saw the challenge here at Hanford, knew its broader impacts around the world. And as a scientist, he developed methods for meeting that challenge. EMSL is a manifestation of that approach as we redirect our efforts from missiles to microbes. I only wish that Bill could be here to share in the excitement of this day and allow me to thank him for making me part of his vision. He has so clearly demonstrated how one scientist with vision and determination, persistence, can make a difference. A truly great leader, like a parent, is able to impart his vision in the minds and imaginations of others, to foster the synergy that follows, and if they are lucky, to step back and watch it flourish on its own.
Congressman Norm Dix from the western part of this state, who not only has supported this, but as I met him the first time, he helped tell me why this was really important to the country. So I'd like to introduce Congressman Norm Dix.
Secretary O'Leary, Senator Murray, Congressman Hastings, good friends of Bill Wiley, Gus, members of the family. It's an honor to be here today. And I wanted to be here today especially because I think it's so fitting that this facility is being named for Bill Wiley. I can remember when Bill and Jack Bagley and Sam Volpentest came to see me and told me about EMSL, told me how important it was going to be for science and that we really needed to work together to try to get this thing funded. And you know, I learned the ropes from Warren Magnuson and Scoop Jackson, and but even that, this was a pretty big challenge, $250 million. And we started rather modestly, I must say. It was about $5 million. And then one day, I got an emergency phone call. It said, Congressman, Secretary Watkins is on the phone, Admiral Watkins, my good friend, former CNO of the Navy, and Governor Gardner. They need to talk to you immediately. So I picked up the phone and said, Admiral, I said, Norm, he said, the governor and I are out here touring. And, you know, if we're going to get this EMSL thing off the ground, he said, you need to add $20 million into the defense bill so we can transfer it over to the Department of Energy. And I said, but Admiral, it's about a week before the conference committee. Neither bill has any money in it for the program. How am I supposed to do it? And he said, well, that's what they elected you for, Norm. Figure it out. So I rolled up my sleeves. I wish I'd had Martha Krebs around. She got some really good stuff about cleaning up the nuclear arms race. In fact, I used a little of that in that conference. And I told him, I said, you know, we have all this waste out here, and it's all a legacy of the Cold War. And this is a project that will help give us the science in order to clean it up. And we need also to reduce the cost of that cleanup. And that all affects the 050 because energy and defense are in there together. And I just went into the conference and told them, I said, I know it's not in either bill, but this is important for the country, and Bill Wiley told me so. And they put the money in the budget, and that's how we really got the thing accelerated. And then we've had a bipartisan congressional delegation. Democrats, Republicans, everyone who's been elected has worked on this and played a role, made a contribution. And I just think this is a fantastic facility. And I'm so proud of the fact that it's being named for Bill, who really believed this was so crucial. And to see these tremendous scientists who've come from all over the country to do the work here and to make this a reality. And you think of the potential of a facility like this in dealing with the critical problems facing our country. Not only in the cleanup area, but in the environmental area, the scientific area, and the collaboration with all of the other academic institutions in the Pacific Northwest, the private sector. This is a good thing for Hanford and the Tri-Cities, but most importantly, it's a very good and solid investment for our country. So I'm glad to be here today. You know, when I got on the Appropriations Committee, I didn't know I'd get involved in all these things. But I'll tell you this, my old colleague Butler Derrick is here. We're going to miss some people. We had some really good friends who are leaving the Congress this year, and I'd feel remiss if I didn't mention their names. Tom Bevel of Alabama, chairman of the Energy and Water Subcommittee in the House, and Bennett Johnston, chairman of the subcommittee in the Senate, and also chairman of the Energy Committee in the Senate. They always came out here. They always supported us, and those are the people we had to go to in the Congress to keep this funding. And I also want to compliment Secretary O'Leary. This administration has been there on the issues that affect this community, and it's been there for the state of Washington. And we've got the $1.6 billion in this budget for the cleanup. And we want to talk a little bit about the FFTF too, a little bit. Sam told me I had to say that. And so I did what I was told, Sam, as always. But it's great to be here today. It's great to be here with Doc and Patty and Secretary O'Leary and the great people of Battelle. Bill Media, that was a great speech. I'm just proud to be part of this delegation and be able to work with the great people in this community, we're going to be there for you all the way. Thank you very much.
This is a quote from Doug Olson behind me, the CEO of Battelle, and I quote, "Our whole purpose is to help you be the best in your business by reducing your costs, developing innovative new products for you, bringing products to the market faster, and connecting your business with leading-edge research on the horizon that will ensure success well into the 21st century," end quote. Well, that's exactly what PNNL is bringing to the DOE and to the problems facing us at Hanford and throughout the weapons complex. And that's why EMSL and PNNL will continue to receive bipartisan support in the next Congress for critical missions that are being pursued right here in our community. So I want to congratulate all of you that have been involved in this. I believe that the dedication here at EMSL is indeed, in many respects, a new beginning to the scientific research and to the future here in the Tri-City area. And I'm very honored to be a part of this. Thank you very much.
Now it's my pleasure to introduce our other senator from the state of Washington, Senator Patty Murray.
Good morning, Secretary O'Leary, Congressman Dix, Congressman Hastings, members of the energy community, members of the Tri-City community, all of the dedicated people who are here today, who are seeing their dream become a reality, and particularly to the family of Bill Wiley. It is an honor and a pleasure to be here. For all of us who knew Bill Wiley, we will remember him forever for his passions for this community, his passion for making sure that our young people got a good education, particularly in math and science, and for his dedication to energy research. It is comforting to all of us that this facility will be here for many, many years to come to house his spirit and his passions for all of us who follow. It is especially delightful to be here today with members of our congressional delegation because I think this facility is a tribute to a bipartisan effort of this community. So often in Congress today, people fight with each other over the smallest things. Not with this facility. It has been, since Congressman Dix began it many years ago, a bipartisan effort from all members of this delegation, and I think an example for all of us to use in the years to come. It is my honor today to introduce to you the Secretary of Energy, Secretary O'Leary, who has traveled across the country to be here with us today. The Secretary and I have met many times in the other Washington, and Madam Secretary, it is a delight to have you here in my home today in the real Washington. I could read you her long resume and my 4 pages of introduction, but I know that many of you are freezing, so I will suffice it to say that her passion and dedication to environmental restoration and cleanup is a tribute to today and to all of the facilities here at Hanford. She has been a true friend, a great person to work with. Please join me in welcoming the Secretary of Energy, Hazel O'Leary.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Senator Mayer, I thank you for that brief and warm introduction. I said to the senator earlier this morning that the smart people had worn coats. Understanding the real Washington, no doubt. I often get the opportunity to be the last speaker. It is both a challenge and an opportunity because it provides, first of all, the challenge to be able to express many well-expressed thoughts differently. And the opportunity is, of course, to re-emphasize and hopefully to just chart a very different course to bring this extraordinarily beautiful morning to a close. I want to begin with you, Gus, and I want to remind you the first time that you and Bill and I sat together in Baltimore, and I began to understand that Bill had another passion beyond EMSL. It was you. For that, we are extremely grateful, because I understand that you have provided to him and to your wonderful daughter a balance that is so necessary, and for that, we are all exceedingly grateful. I understood on that evening another passion of Bill's, which we accept and celebrate as well, and that is for young minds, understanding the challenge and seeing the fun of science, and clear about where it can take us all. To put the three of those together, family, EMSL, which I will from here on call the Wiley Lab, Bill. Thank you. And in the sight of these extraordinary scientists, some of whom have been raised up today so that we may honor them and their opportunity to live out not the vision, because I want to start with the dream. Great people have dreams. We call them visions when we embrace them. And that was Bill Wiley's challenge, to take this extraordinary dream, his good common sense, and that undeniable passion, and to visit it from mind to heart throughout this community. To start with Stormin Norman Dix, because that's what we call him in our office. And you all know why. Because he gets it done. He gets it done. And to weave it through the fabric of Battelle and to the community, and take it, as has been so well articulated by Doc today and by Senator Murray, to a bipartisan Congress, and to teach us all an excellent lesson in citizenship, is an extraordinary thing to have endured for years. Mind you, we go back to at least 2 secretaries of energy. I now want to come to just one other place very briefly, and that is to remind all in the laboratory in the Department of Energy family of something called the Energy Resources blah blah mumble board. It is that opportunity for the Secretary of Energy and others to sit in judgment just before a vision is about to be realized and ask all the hard questions. Well, have you got the environmental work done? Are you sure about life cycle cost? Are these estimates really well done? And on and on and on. And Bill Wiley approached that day, and this secretary, who was quite frankly at her first blah blah mumble board, so I was trying to make a few points as well, sort of finally put past him the logic of the day and began to speak with the passion of a scientist who understood what this laboratory would mean to this community. And I thought today in my prepared remarks how wonderful it was that I had lost my leather folio and I brought before you a green folder, because one way to be able to talk about the Wiley Lab is to call it a green lab. And that's the thing that we not only accept, but we honor, because it truly assists this community in turning the corner and not looking back, but looking forward to the extraordinary opportunity to provide service through basic science to meet the needs of a globe. But I have come to another place. I believe that this is a community laboratory. And I am so pleased to see the citizens of this community clearly a part of the Department of Energy and the Hanford site and this national laboratory that's so ably run by Battelle through Bill. I want to talk about that too and remind Congressman Hastings that not only has Bill Media and this team managed to make it the most cost-effective laboratory in the Department of Energy's many laboratory holdings, but it has begun to teach what it has learned so that others may do well. But that's not the reason that this is a community laboratory. As I look out at Sam and I think about the support of the publishing family of the Tri-City Herald, because those of you who have advocated the vision for this laboratory, which is being recognized, have at the same time committed to a community of people who not only understand but will gain value from this laboratory facility as it now becomes open for scientists throughout the world. I am learning this word called collaboratory. And it offers the opportunity through the power of information systems to pull together the many young minds to enrich themselves from the minds that are already here, but brings benefit to this community as a magnet to solve its problems and to attract jobs. I was in Seattle yesterday with Bill Madia using the Wiley Lab and the Battelle presence here at the Pacific Northwest National Laboratories to talk about the opportunity to spur economic growth for the entire Northwest Pacific. And so why not start in this community? And I leave you today so clear that it is a dream realized. And I had to think about the Lorraine Hansberry poem, which we all can recite when we talk about a dream deferred and what awful things happen to people and communities when a dream is not allowed to flourish. This dream, so compelling, so focused on the future, turned into a vision that has been embraced by so many. And so today, in the most extraordinary way, do we get to pay tribute to the life of a great man with extraordinary passion who leaves us a legacy to solve our problems and to enrich our communities, and in so doing has made us all advocates for basic science in this community so that we may teach those who have not yet been taught, and so that as the United States of America, we can continue to solve our problems and enrich the lives of this community and the nation. What an extraordinary, extraordinary testimony to the life of a great man, a loving father, an excellent teacher, and an outstanding science. I'm so pleased, I am so honored, Gus, on behalf of this community, which is surely your community, and the community of your entire family who are here today, to tell you that we thank you for your partnership, we thank you for this great gift to our community, and we love you. Please come forward and accept just a small token. I'll give you Mrs. Wiley.
Thank you.
Could I just read a little something?
Oh, sure.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. At the department, when we thought about what small token, Gus, might be appropriate to you and for you and your family, we thought that perhaps you would like a plaque, a miniature of the plaque that you will all see on the Wiley Lab. And it reads, the United States Department of Energy Appreciation Plaque, William R. Wiley. William R. Wiley's vision and imagination were deeply rooted in his conviction that the molecular revolution will be just as critical to human advancement as were the Industrial Revolution and the dawn of the atomic age. We now honor his passion for science and his understanding of people by dedicating the William R. Wiley Environmental Molecular Science Laboratory of the United States Department of Energy. And it is signed by me, and I want you and your family to have this.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
It's yours.
Okay. I had a nightmare last night. I'm with Bill Madia. I was so glad to see this step up here. I dreamt that I was kind of standing below. Couldn't see my speech. Now I gotta find out, do I need my glasses? Okay. Johari and I so deeply regret that Wiley cannot be here today for the dedication of the William R. Wiley Environmental Molecular Sciences Laboratory. this would have been a dream come true. Wiley was a man of exceptional visions and dreams. But in all of his visions, the honor of having this laboratory dedicated in his name would be beyond his wildest dreams. He would be humbled by the honor you pay him today. Excuse me. But he would be proud of the research to be performed in this laboratory. To each and every one who has worked with such sincere determination and love to make this dedication a reality, we say thank you from the depths of our hearts. We are pleased you are recognizing a man who dedicated so much of himself and for what he enthusiastically and honestly believed in. We know that Wiley would want us to thank you and express his deepest gratitude and appreciation to those who worked so diligently and tirelessly to make this laboratory a reality. Although the dedication cannot heal the pain from our loss of Wiley, we are pleased that he is being recognized at this time with the highest honor he would have ever expected to receive during or after his lifetime. Wiley was a firm believer that education is the salvation of the world and that scientific research and development must play an important part in our future. Wiley was playing an active role in helping to shape science policy for the next century. He was anxiously anticipating the future direction of science and technology in this country and in the international arena. He was not someone to talk about the future and leave it to others to pursue the dream. He knew that words alone seldom accomplished much. He was used to getting things done, to making things happen. He was a human catalyst. His enthusiasm, his positive outlook and affable personality, the wealth of his experience and insight will be sorely missed. Bill was indeed the most responsible of ancestors, and we will all remember that. The river of life has swept you away, but not to be forgotten in time. Your visions and dreams are gifts to us of your light, so well worded by our daughter Johari. I will end with a poem introduced to me by his good friend, Dr. Cole. I don't know why the rivers overflow their banks. I don't know why the snow falls and covers the ground. I don't know why the hurricane sweeps through the land every now and then, standing in a rainstorm. But I believe. Thank you.
We'll get these plaques to your offices. And now, this is for guests.
Look at.
Great.
I think you don't need it.
I think you know.
What am I supposed to cut it? Pick where you want. Oh, all righty.
Well done.